episode 23 of the Circle Back podcast, the show where two, sometimes three,
We got 3
great friends get together and just talk about video games. I'm Dan LaMarca. As always, I'm joined by Dan Dufrenoy. And today we have a special guest, the producer,
our tech wizard,
Shelby White. Shelby's on today because we have a pretty special episode. We are pretty much going to be talking about God of War throughout the entire episode.
Yeah.
So we've all played differing amounts of God of War. But before we jump into specific impressions, I just want to give a little bit of brief background on God of War. So I think all three of us have played some of the old ones.
Yeah.
Again, differing, like me and Dan, not always the hugest fans. When I was younger, I really liked God of War 1, really liked God of War 2. By the time 3 came out, I was starting to kind of realize, all right, Kratos is kind of a terrible character. Like, is this even really worth playing? Blah, blah, blah. So they were always fun to play, but they were always lacking a little bit. Dan, I know you feel pretty similarly.
Same sort of thing. First game, when it came out, I had a really, really good time with it. And it was so interesting as like the third one, I think most people consider to be like the pinnacle of God of War and like the best one. And I just absolutely hated that one because it was beautifully, like the graphics were beautiful and the play style was really, really good. But I don't know, it was just very gratuitous and a little bit too much for me where I was just a little, okay, I'm going to,
Well, to me, it was like a bad version of Shadow of the Colossus, where it was just like, here's all these giant bosses, go kill them all.
Yeah, rip their
But
heads
at the
off
same
and-
time, it was just like that was no. That was it. That was the game.
That was
there
all.
was
Yeah.
nothing great about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, we all have experience with all of these games, but, going into this God of War PS4 just came out, April 20th. Going into it, we were all a little bit more excited than we would have expected it to be, based on our histories with the games. But, so yeah, we played through the games. I have beaten this game. I did a lot of the side stuff. Dan, where are you at in this game?
I'm just got up to the lake. There's a lake, so I'm actually probably the least far out of you two.
I'm not far past you.
Yeah. So you guys would a couple hours you've played?
Yeah, I'd say probably about 3-4 hours. I don't know.
Shell probably 5-6.
Yeah,
maybe?
probably 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah. So finishing the game, me, I'm well over 30 hours. Yeah, I played a lot of this game, and for good reason. I couldn't stop. I couldn't put it down because the thing about this game is it really reminds me more of a Zelda game than most games. It feels like a Zelda game where you're going into these, or like the newer Tomb Raider games. Like it shares a lot of that DNA where it's like you're going through these areas and it's like every single time you round a corner, you see something. Oh man, I want to see what that is. I got to check that out. Okay, let me do this big puzzle. And it's like, I found myself so many times going to do other things and being like, all right, let me just get to this part and then I'll put it down. And then I get to that part and I'd be like, oh, I can't stop now. I got this. It's like absolutely had it took to me really, really hard. This game did. So I know you guys are early, but I just want to kind of talk. We're going to get into a little bit of spoilers for like the first hour or so of this game, the very beginning. Nothing crazy, but I just want to hear your impressions firstly, and then we'll talk more specifically.
Well, I'm curious, Shelby. I don't think we ever talked, like, what did you think about, like, the original games? Because I feel like, especially with this new God of War, I don't think, for me at least, what makes this God of War so special and amazing is my history with, the games prior. So I'm just curious, like, did you enjoy the original games?
I enjoyed the original games. I remember I bought each one for PS2 when they came out, but it was just like a mind-numbing slasher, it was just like a button masher, and I enjoyed it. It was like cool. You were like this anti-hero instead of the usual stuff, and it had that majesticness to it at first, the first game where you're like, this is badass, and like you were younger, we were younger.
10 years old, man, I'm the
exactly,
coolest.
like this is badass. Then the second one came out and you're like, alright, it's kind of the same, and then again, it's like the third one came out and I was like, alright, where's the PS4? Is that coming out soon? It's like, I don't need this anymore. So, I enjoyed them and played through them, but again, they went downhill until now. Right back.
I know, that's
so what do you guys think of it so far?
I have a quick question,
and I don't want
to. Why is it the exact same name as the first one?
Like, why did they do that?
Yeah, it's just.
I think the idea is new mythology.
Is it like, are they trying to reboot it?
So,
I mean, I didn't finish it, so
yeah. Again, we're not going to spoil. We're not going to spoil anything major in this game, but I think there are a couple of reasons why they would call it God of War, and I think they could have called it God of War 4 or 5 because Ascension, but it's like,
oh yeah, I forgot about
it makes sense in the realm of the story, but it also just makes sense as you even know in the beginning, like I said, we're going to spoil maybe the first hour or so, nothing major, but even in the beginning, you come across somebody that comes knocking on your door, and you can tell that Kratos is obviously hiding, right?
Yeah, right.
He's in hiding, so it's like, he's not the God of War in this mythology.
Yeah.
But he still has his
roots,
his history. So, like, the Greek mythology...
Oh, so yeah, everything he went through is still in play.
Because that was actually my first question when the game first started. I said, okay, I get, like, it's like Norse mythology kind of.
Yeah.
Which is a nice, I think we said this the other day, it's a nice change of pace, it's cool to learn all this different lore.
Oh, absolutely. And the things that they do to twist this lore throughout the game are very, very good. But yeah, I think so. They're not rebooting it. You still have the history of the
previous So Kratos still has his whole where he killed, the gods tricked him into killing his wife and child, and now he's kind of has like a fresh. Maybe that's why they called it God of War, because like I guess this is like his fresh start, and you could tell, as we go along.
And we say fresh start, but we there's a huge gap between because he came here, met somebody, fell in love, had this kid.
Right.
Kid's 12 years old now, so it's like. He's at least been there for 15 plus years, so it's...
I just feel the game should have been called, like, Kratos and Boy. Kratos and Boy, because that's all you hear, the whole game.
Yeah.
I'm, like, sitting there sometimes, and I'm playing the game. I'm, like, talking to myself. I see the kid go off. I'm like, boy, what are you doing?
Boy.
Yeah, it is funny. But honestly, the thing about the title and the rebooting, it's just they really want to hammer home that this is not that game.
Right.
Yeah.
This is not a continuation as far as mechanics are different, the whole tone is different, like there's a lot of different things going on, and I think, so talking about the story as a whole without talking specifics, my takeaway for the entire thing is they do a really nice job from the A plot, the actual plot is very good. Characters are awesome in this game. There's a lot of good characters. You guys already met a couple characters, but absolutely love the characters and the interactions between and the development of the son and his relationship with Kratos done super well. Really, really good. Some of the plot devices that they use to keep the story going are pretty contrived. Like, this isn't a perfect game by any means. But the combination of this incredible gameplay and great world to explore paired with, hey, also there's a lot of really interesting twists on the Norse mythology, a lot of interesting characters going on. It's like that combination is what makes this like an amazing game. And it is an amazing game. And it's one of it's one of the best games on PS4, no doubt about it. But you can look at it and nitpick it, and with good reason. Like there are things, and you'll see as you play a little bit more, there are things that are like, okay, I'm not really happy with the way that went. Okay, a little bit on the nose, like stuff like that. But overall, it's very successful in what it's trying to do, and I think the main takeaway from it is this father's relationship with his son. And how him and his son both grow in different ways, and how that happens, and it's done really well, and that's why this game is great. You know what I mean? So let's talk about a little bit of the beginning of the game. So when you guys started, and you start and he chops down that tree, and then you see it's going to be the one shot, the whole.
Well, I love that. I think that makes it more
it gives
intimate.
It, like, because it's just like, I remember watching Birdman for the first time, and I was in awe, and I was like, this is fucking awesome, and it has that feel to it, and you like see it, and it's really, really cool. Yeah, and it's just such a great way to do it. I'm not sure how they did it with the motion capture. I mean, I know they could do their in-game stuff, but it's it makes the story even more alive, in a way.
And it's a lot more intimate too, where it's like, and it really does. My favorite thing about this, I think this game, like alone, standalone, would be a great game. But I think the reason I like it so much more is my history with the God of War games, where I was just kind of like, and like now here is some completely different. It's no longer you're this little guy running, jumping and slashing things. Like now you're like you are right there.
But the interesting thing about what you just said, it's like the reason it's more interesting is because it's because you have the baggage with the series, and it's because Kratos has baggage.
Yeah.
And they don't just cut it and say, let's make him a better character. They say, how do you grow from this person?
Yeah.
And like that's pretty awesome because you don't see that a lot. What you would normally expect from this is a soft reboot or whatever, is none of that ever happened. This is a brand new thing. Let's make him a better character because nobody, we know he's one-dimensional. We know he can only scream and yell. But instead, they take that and they actually do something interesting with it. I think that's admirable, like to do that because you don't really see that a lot.
No, you don't. Yeah, and that's why when they first announced that they were gonna make a God of War game, I was just like, okay, I'm probably not gonna get it. But then you see it, and they're going for something. They're taking something that we all know, that we're all familiar with, and
that over the shoulder first person or third person look.
Yeah. And they're pushing it into something that wouldn't fit, the way that we think of Kratos and God of War. And I just think that, like you said, it's admirable. I think it's really they're trying to push the envelope just a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it has that Sony house style that all the Sony first party games have, where The Last of Us, Uncharted,
Tomb Raider has it.
What is it? Horizon.
Actually,
but they all have that, very deliberately moving, very behind the back, close third person behind the back. Yeah, I mean Tomb Raider has that too, but that's not Sony.
But I think that's what makes this game so like it is God of War, but they are going for something new and something. It's fresh, but like old at the same time, if that makes sense. And I think that's why I'm enjoying it so much. Is just because
and it's fun to play. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, because it's not easy.
I want to talk about.
It's so difficult. Yeah,
I really do want to talk about the gameplay really quick before we jump to how it feels. The things that they do, and again, I'm not going to spoil it, but the things that they do to harken back to the old series throughout this game range from eye roll to like, wow, that's really cool. So it's like you'll see some things and you'll be like, that's pretty interesting. I like that. And then you'll see some things and you're like, you fucking kidding me? Like, that's why I'm saying it is uneven. Like, this game has a 95 on Metacritic. Like, critics love it across the board, but and it deserves those accolades. But not a lot of people talk about the little inconsistencies or valleys. It's not all peaks. And I think this type of game often is easy to show that love to. You know what I mean? Like this is a game going after critics. You know what I mean? Like it's saying, we know that you guys are going to love this game. Give us the good score, and everyone did. You know what I mean? So it's like it's that like HBO-ifying of games that's kind of happening, and Sony's at the front of it because they have The Last of Us. Uncharted 4 was like this.
Yeah.
Like their games are really trying to step it up to a little bit more adult. But when you have more adult, you have less. One thing that I do like about this game is it has some humor and it has some interesting things. You met the dwarves.
The dwarves
right?
are funny.
Or the dwarf.
I love when you first meet, not the blue dwarf, but the other dwarf, his brother, when you first meet him and he's like sitting there, he's like, I'll fight you, like give me that back.
Those dwarf interactions are awesome, and they're a really genuinely good character in this game. And that's what I appreciate because, I mean, that's something that you're able to do when you have such a long game. Yeah. Like this game, like I said, I put in over 30 hours to beat the main story. And I did a bunch of side stuff, but in the old God of War games, you couldn't even get near that number.
There's no character development in the old God of War games at all.
But it's not even... So, talking about character development, I'm saying, like, compared to Last of Us and Uncharted, they have a very narrow through line without a lot of side content because that's the game
it's
that they're going for. They're going for a directed
yeah.
experience. But when you have something like this where you have these side areas, these side quests, it straddles the line between a game like that where the story is actually really well written and focused, and between a GTA type where there's just so much stuff to do and some of it sucks and some of it's good. It's like this is right in between where it's smaller in scale than a real open world. And it's like, your collectibles, the highest number in one collectible thing is like 50 or 51. There's 51 ravens to kill or something. It's like,
which are hard to
But that's the highest, what I'm saying, if that's the highest number in your collectibles, then that's a nice balance.
Yeah.
A lot of these games are like, get 500 of these, get this, and it's like,
it's never too overwhelming or anything.
And I just did for the first part, which I liked, is I did went into this little side quest area, and I did it, and there was not a ton of stuff. There was a good amount of stuff to do in there, but without even realizing it, I searched every corner, and then at the end it said, you've collected everything in this area. And it was like, you finished this area. And I was like, oh, all right, good. Now I don't have to go through the freaking screen and go search and see did I miss one of these?
And that's something this game does super well. But I want to talk about the combat and the way the game feels. What are you thinking about it so far?
Fluid. Super fluid.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a lot of difficulty at first. You first get to that big troll in the first 10 minutes,
died,
and
3 times,
my
4 times.
initial reaction was, "This is God of War. I'm gonna go kick this guy's ass."
That's it, man. Yeah.
And that, I went up, he stomped, then slammed that rock on my head, and I was like, "I have to back off and figure out what the hell I'm gonna do here." It's cool because it changes the way you think from the past God of War games, especially since you're not throwing chains that are 30 feet long. And then it kind of gives you that, I have the same powers Thor does, that's pretty cool.
But I felt the same exact way, Shelby, where I was just the same sort of thing. Oh, this is a God of War game. It's a hack and slash. You just go up and you just decimate, but you can't do that. And maybe I'm giving the game too much credit, then, maybe they didn't even think about this, but again, my favorite thing about this game is because of my history, this game makes this game so much more interesting. So, the history of the God of War games is you just go up there and you just kill.
Yeah.
But now you have to be a little bit more thoughtful.
Yeah,
a little more fluid.
It's much more deliberate. It's much more heavy.
Yeah.
It's very weighty. I love the way it feels, even just traversing, and first of all, when you throw your axe,
that's the coolest
and call
thing.
it back
That's
to you.
the coolest thing ever.
I think I was telling you the other day, I forget to call the damn thing all the time.
And you're just
I'll
where's my axe?
throw it and then go to do one of those flinging punches
Yeah.
things, and I'm like, what? Oh, God damn it! It's in the ogre over there.
No, it's awesome, and I love when I first learned to throw the axe, I was just throwing it. And I really far, and then pulling it back and seeing it's the coolest.
It's funny because even when you throw it and you got it in this little area, you call it back and you hear it hit rocks
ting, ting,
and
ting,
metal
ting,
and
ting.
it goes through everything. It's pretty cool.
It's so satisfying.
It's so great. Another thing about combat I want to say that I started picking up more as I started getting my ass kicked more was Atreus is awesome.
Yeah,
having him, not just his combat ability, but having him go behind you, and you're like, oh shit, let me just dodge real quick. And sometimes you'll dodge a killer attack, and it's something you can't see.
Yeah.
Whereas in the old God of War games where it was so wide and open, you could see everybody around you, and now you can't. I thought that mechanic was amazing, and it's
I've heard,
and they give you those little arrows that show you what kind of attack is coming. But Atreus is so much better. It's awesome.
I agree. I completely agree.
It's great.
I've heard a lot of people complain about the combat at a certain point, once it gets tougher, there can be some frustrating enemies. I haven't had that issue, and playing through the game. But
if you did the side quests and you go and you do,
it's a combination of I have the armor and weapons that I need, and it's also a combination of I
got better at the game.
I get better at the game, but I'm also just not as bothered by little things like that. I feel I don't want to compare.
Dying?
No, I'm saying I don't want to compare to Dark Souls because it's not the same type of gameplay, but it has some similarities where it's you need to learn these guys' patterns and you need to strike when they're down, especially when you get to some harder enemies. There are specifically this group of enemies that I'm not going to ruin. There's 9 of them in the whole game, and they're special bosses. And in order to take them down, you have to learn their pattern. They each have different patterns. Okay. And that really feels like a Dark Souls boss. Even though the gameplay doesn't, the interaction between you and the enemy is that way. So I always felt it was a fun challenge rather than an annoyance. And
Well,
a lot of people,
but it's the same thing and I know what you mean by like not comparing it to Dark Souls, but at the same time, dying is a learning process.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like you have to be down really low on health to be like, all right, I can't do what I'm doing right now. You know, like let me back off, figure it out. Because there's what's that enemy like the witch like thing?
Oh yeah,
you know, like
this one's
where
like
they throw
the,
poison across the ground and stuff. One of those, fine. You throw two of those in a room, and it's hard as hell.
Yeah,
you know, like they're such a pain in the ass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's like even with the tray, because you need him. Like
you
have to shoot an arrow in order
for
for you to attack them. So it's like it becomes a lot more difficult. So again, it becomes a pattern recognition thing.
And it is that Dark Souls Bloodborne-ish thing. Like, thank God I just played Bloodborne because, especially with that first troll, first thing I was just going guns a-blazing, and I was like, wait a second, no, I got to go one hit, roll back, wait for him to move, and then go back.
Not even with him. That stranger we were talking about, he was hard.
Really
he was
hard.
a difficult enemy.
Really hard.
Yeah, we hadn't talked about the stranger yet, but I do want to talk about it. That really strong opening for this game with that specifically. So it's smart the way. So it starts out, this cinematic where you're putting your wife to rest.
Yeah.
Your son's like tearing up when he's lighting the candles and stuff. So
he takes on her knife.
So you go and hunt, and when you get back, you grab the ashes. Is the idea, right? So on the hunt, this is a perfect. It's super smart. The thing that I really love about this game is it's impeccably designed, like absolutely, almost like perfectly designed, because everything it does is a tutorial. Like everything in the beginning of that game is a tutorial without beating you over the head with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're teaching Atreus to hunt, and as you're running through the woods, you're learning how to jump over a tree, do whatever. You aim with him when you shoot the deer, and then bam, there's your fight with the troll. And the troll, so you fight like some small enemies, you do a little puzzle solving before you get to the troll, and it's like they're just kind of showing you along, okay, this is kind of the idea of what's going to be happening in the game. Then you fight the troll, and he's way harder, and it's like, you need to learn how to fight this guy, because you're going to be fighting large enemies like him, and you need to know how to do it. Yeah. So it's like, die as many times as you want until you figure out how to do this. And I saw it firsthand, so being somebody that does enjoy a lot of Souls games, like this kind of combat is a little easier for me than some. But so I didn't really have a hard time with the troll. But I had Diana play, and she must have died 7 or 8 times, and to see the progression from, especially as someone that doesn't play a lot of these games, to see the progression from in the beginning just getting absolute, slashing, getting hit, she's dead, to then realizing, okay, I need to roll out of the way. And then, so she's rolling out of the way, but then she realized, okay, I can't roll to this side when he brings the thing over because it's going to hit me. So she's rolling the other way and then back the other way to dodge the big attack and attacking. And it was just so interesting to see, like, they made this boss specifically to teach you how to do it. And that is what I really appreciate about this
And like
game.
you said, dying's like learning. That's all it is.
But
the other thing about this game is it's very, very generous with checkpoints. So dying is not really an issue in this game.
And I find myself saving all the time.
You'll be 2 steps back. You don't even have to, though. You could literally,
like nothing.
You could literally die, and you'll be 5 feet away from the enemy you just died from without him being aggro, All right, so the other thing that I want to talk about, when we were talking about the weight of the combat and stuff like that, I really, really like, and this is another thing I've heard complaints about, I really actually enjoy the weight of the platforming and stuff. So when you get to an edge, so everything, I call this a Zelda game because it's interlooped on itself. Every area, every little side area or every main area, it has like chain ropes that you can kick down, and now all of a sudden you have a little shortcut. It has doors that you couldn't open from one side, but you open from the other. Like it has a lot of, so it's like on itself, like you can see, all right, I'm going to have to get there. How the hell do I get there? You'll see a little opening in a cave or something. So whenever you jump down from an area and you land and you turn around and catch the trains, like little shit like that, I think goes such a long way in this game because of the polish factor.
Well,
like,
it doesn't get old. It's,
But I've heard a lot of people complaining about it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What are they saying?
Exactly. I mean, again,
just because it takes time that
exactly.
shouldn't be wasted, I guess. I get it, but for me, it just adds that it just feels good. Like you jump down, you step off, you go down something.
Yeah.
Like it just feels satisfying.
To me, again, with that one camera, you know, like
the one shot. Yeah,
you have to.
No, I know.
It feels
like
more
you're
real. You know,
you're adventuring. You're in a.
But I guess I could see it from both ways.
Yeah,
for
me, it never bothered me.
Yeah,
but the other thing I'll say is what they do with loading is really interesting because they never cut to a load screen.
Yeah,
because it's all one shot. So some of it, especially, is like really smartly done. Like you'll see as you go on a little bit. Some of it's kind of obvious. Like a lot of times you'll go through like a low cave with Atreus, and you're walking and you're talking, and it's like, all right, it's loading the next area. Yeah. But that's smart because you're talking to him and getting story while it's loading.
Yeah,
so
that's
never,
really cool.
It never feels like a break.
One thing I want to bring up, because it's probably one of my favorite aspects of the game so far, is when you do just get in the boat and you like go exploring. The stories that he tells are my absolute favorite. Has he told any stories?
I haven't heard any stories yet, no.
You've got to be
awesome,
right at that part.
Awesome.
The first one he tells, I don't know if it's the same for everybody, but the first one he tells about like the retelling of the tortoise and the hare is one of the funniest.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
It's so funny.
Yeah, it's great. But that's the little shit that I'm talking about where the writing is actually very, very good because you have those silly moments. You have those where Trace is like, that was a really bad story.
That one's great. When he's like, that wasn't a story. He's like, yeah, it was. He's like, no, it wasn't.
Yeah, so little shit like that, and it just really does a good job of peppering the world, like making it feel alive and feel like a real world. Like they do an excellent, excellent job at that. The one thing I will say is I give kudos for the loads a lot. Mm-hmm. Like I think they do a really good job, and you'll see once you get different like fast travel and stuff like that. There's different types of loads, ways that they hide loads, and some are really good, some are obvious. But I did have a couple instances where
I did do one of the fast travels. I know what you're
talking
about.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's cool, but it's obvious, what they're doing. But I did have a few instances where I was just running through the world, like I was going, I open a door and I'm running through, and then it would just stop. And you get the little God of War symbol, and he'd be like stopped in place. About 5 seconds. And then he'd start running.
Okay.
It's like, all right, I see that. Like, I get what you're trying to do, and I can forgive you for that because there's literally not a loading screen in this game. Yeah. So, okay, that happened 3-4 times in the entire 30-plus hours. All right, is what it is. But I just wanted to put that out there because I don't want to, be saying this is flawless because obviously, they have a couple issues with sometimes they didn't have the load properly. Now the game needs to catch up a little bit, little stuff like that. But overall, really, really polished game.
There's actually, I've never had an issue with load screens except for there was a Crash Bandicoot game, like once it went to the PS2, that the load screen was like 2 minutes long.
Oh,
It was insane, and it was like him falling through nothing. Dude, I can't remember which one it was, but it was so bad. Like the load screen was so bad.
If you played Bloodborne before it got updated and stuff, awful loads.
Yeah.
Every time you die, it was like a solid minute.
Oh,
rough.
See, that's tough.
Yeah.
Well, this even sometimes still in Bloodborne, or at least what I got to, there's still like frame rate drops and just
those From Software games are always buggy,
but it's worth it.
Well worth it.
So
all right. Anyway, back to God of War.
Speaking of dying, though, I do love how Kratos dies. He just fucking tombstones. Like that's fantastic.
It is pretty good. Let's talk about. So we started talking about the beginning of the game where you fight the troll and whatever. So you come back, you grab his wife's ashes, and you're like, all right. The whole object is her last wish was, I want my ashes spread at the highest point in the kingdom. Right. That's the whole point. So you grab the ashes. You're going in the house. You basically told Atreus, like, you're not ready.
Yeah, we gotta wait for this.
Well, he was just saying, you're not ready. You're not ready because he got too emotional when they killed the troll. He was like slashing his arm or whatever over and over again, even though it was dead. And so he's like, you're not ready. So then you're in the house and you get a knock on the door. And this is why this game has such a strong opening, is because it gives you that tutorial section. It feeds you a lot of story. And then it goes into this, and this is kind of the jump-off point where it's like, there's this guy at the door, skinny guy, small, like he looks like a thug kind of like.
He looks like Jared Leto with all these tattoos,
with the voice of Ian McShane.
Yeah, exactly.
Like at first, when he opens the door, it's like Ian McShane's character in Kung Fu Panda, like Tai Lung or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Just like opens the door, it sounds just like him.
Yeah, it does. But he's covered in tattoos, and he's basically like, you know why I'm here, and Kratos is like, I don't know why.
He tells his son to go hide.
So he's hiding underneath
in the basement,
and
then he slaps him. It's fantastic.
Yeah, but he basically is like, get away from my house. I don't know what you're after, but I don't have it. And so they end up fighting, and it becomes this incredible.
Oh man, it's probably like 20 minutes too. It's like
it's the first true like momentous part with the camera staying in one locked position, because that's where like when he punches him, it flies through the air. You're like, fuck, like It's
launches,
awesome.
yeah. And it becomes like almost like a Dragon Ball style. Like, everything's flying. You're flying, you're breaking through trees and stuff. It's like just a really, really strong scene there. And it's just so interesting because you don't know who this is. Mm-hmm. They call him the Stranger or whatever on the health bar, and it's like. You basically end it by snapping his neck and throwing him.
But because he keeps rejuvenating too. So like you think you got him one time, he's back. You got him another time.
But so the last time it would appear that he's done. Mm-hmm. But who the hell knows? But
you do.
I do, yes. But you snap his neck, you throw him off, and then that's kind of all right. Time to go. Kratos knows, all right, I can't stay here anymore. Yeah. So they gotta go.
It brings up more questions than answers right away, which is nice. It's like it kind of throws you into the plot.
Yes.
And because I think you mentioned something about like he's like, I'm not my brother or something like that. Did he say something about his brother?
He mentioned his dad or something.
He definitely mentions another person.
He does.
I think he says something about a brother, but it's pretty cool. And then even right before that, where they're talking about Atreus having been sick, like, oh, you're like, what's going on with that? They brought it up like once or twice more since I've been playing. So it's like
I remember that there's one of him being ill.
He talks about him being sick. He's like, I'm not sick anymore. I could do this, yada yada, trying to prove himself. So it's cool because you're like, well, I want to figure.
Yeah, they're planting seeds for interesting stories throughout.
Yeah, definitely.
And they you get a good payoff for all of it. It definitely delivers on what it's going for.
But yeah, I just want to know that's why I want to go play some more, because that, like you said, the whole scene. Now I'm just like, okay, well, why is this guy after Kratos? Like, if Kratos been safe in the woods for 15 years, why now? Like, what's he after? Like, is it because of his son? Like, what's going on? And like,
no, it's very interesting. The other thing that's interesting is they talk about the forest has changed since the mother died.
Yeah,
and so you think, okay, maybe does this have to do? Like now they're finding him because whatever she had on the forest is now gone. Yeah, like you don't know.
Like that.
That was my first thought. I was like,
because like Gaia in the original games was like the Titan of the forest or whatever.
Yeah.
Like maybe she had this sort of effect in a Norse.
Yeah, it's interesting, and as it goes on, you get some really good storytelling. And I think honestly throughout the story stays solid with just a few little dips, like I mentioned, but. Yeah, I mean, I really, really enjoyed this game. I'm still planning on going back to...
You play some more of it?
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to 100% it because I got pretty... Like, I got, like, most of them, and now I'm like, there are different...
There's a good amount of trophies. I, went through the trophy list real quick. There's a pretty good amount.
Yeah, but the thing about it is there's... So at some point you get a way to travel to different places, and there are, there's an area that's like a challenge area where you're doing these arena combat challenges, and there's an area that's like a maze that you're doing these things. So it's like these are huge side areas that are you can totally skip them if you want.
Yeah.
But there's some interesting stuff there, and then there is so much as far as the actual side quests. So if you explore throughout the lake, right? If you have the means to get to where, it does the Metroid thing where you'll see a door that's covered by vines or something, and you're like, I don't know how to get past that. I don't have, I got to come back with another weapon, right? So my tip for the game would be anything you get to that you can get through a door, just do it.
Do it, yeah.
And then if you end up fighting, if you're level 3 and you end up fighting a level 6 guy and you can't beat him, turn around and walk away because it's
you're
not
able to do that. It's not
you will get but that's the beauty of this game is you can just wait until the end to do everything, or you can just level your guy up throughout, do whatever side quests you can. Like, I basically, anytime I would finish a main quest, go back to the lake, and I'd be like, all right, let's get my armor up, and then let's go explore. And I'd go around, and I'd be like, oh, now I can get through this door. Awesome, let me go do that, yada, yada. But, yeah, the way that it's set up is so well designed for exploration. It reminds me. That's why I call it similar to a Zelda games, because it gives me that same feeling. Without the pure exploration of Breath of the Wild, because Breath of the Wild is just open.
Right.
But it gives you that same feeling of around every corner.
There could be something.
You see, like, they do such a good job at, you'll see one thing, and they know exactly where to put it, so that you'll see it. Like, I gotta go do this, and that's a whole puzzle, and you gotta
I was heading that way, but now I gotta go that way.
But that's what this game does, man, and it does it super, super well.
And here's one thing we didn't even pick up on with you have a shield now.
Yeah.
You got a shield, and it makes a big difference. That parry thing is like so...
Yeah,
especially in the fight with a stranger,
parrying
learning how to utilize that.
Huge for this game. And you'll see as you get to harder.
Yeah, because especially when people are swinging at you, you get like, if it's the red ring, move, because you're going to get fucking crushed. Or if it's a yellow ring, you can parry it. But I just unlocked one thing, and it's my favorite thing ever. Like, you can parry and then just like come back and whap them with the shield.
Oh, you got
It's one of my favorite freaking things. It's so awesome.
And
so satisfying.
Yeah, talking about the combat tree and actual abilities and stuff, it's done really well where you can kind of choose what you want to specialize in.
Yeah.
But the thing that I will say about that is, at the end of the game where I'm at, I have 300,000 more experience than the entire... Like, I have every skill on the tree unlocked, plus 300,000 experience.
So basically, just spend it when you have
just
it.
Spend it. It's crazy. There's no need. Like, they overdid it so much with that. Like, you really don't need
that's the thing, because some people probably... Not a lot of people are side quest people, So, like, you probably gain a lot of the experience. I know. If it's open, I'm like, well, it's there for a reason.
I'm the same way. I can't finish a game until all the side quests are done.
Uh,
But, I feel the same way. Like, I'm going through it, and I'm like, man, what should I upgrade next? Like, should I save it? Should I wait? I usually just give it to Atreus because his don't cost very much right now. And but it's what I like about it is that it's experience for that, and then the rest of the money, which is not that easy to find.
Yeah,
like that's where you like have to buy and craft stuff.
Yeah, we could talk about the armor and weapon and stuff like that. It's all like gear.
Yeah,
it's all based on gear. So it's like it's common. Basically. White, blue, purple, gold. Just like, any other RPG, Diablo, like Destiny, anything like that. And you'll find some of the armor out in the wild, but mostly you'll be crafting, you'll get recipes based on where you're at in the story or what you find in somewhere, and then you'll be able to go to the dwarf and be like, hey, craft me this.
Right.
And, yeah, it's really cool because, especially as you get to the higher level armor and talismans and enchantments, because everything has sockets and you can
which is cool. I like
put enchantments in them, and you have a talisman and you have an axe pommel. Like, you have all these different things to slot things into. Yeah. And most of the time, I was just slotting them whatever was the highest level just to get my level up.
Yeah,
I wasn't always looking at like the passive abilities. And some of them are really cool, like. I mentioned there was this group of bosses that are like 9 bosses, whatever. And as you take them down, you'll get like special armor that you're able to craft that have like different abilities. Like, it'll be like, all right, now your roll is faster, and you get like a boost of speed at the end of it.
Okay.
Or it'll be like, whenever Kratos' health is low, he gains 10 strength or something. Like, they have different things like that, which is actually really interesting, and it's fun.
Oh, that's what makes
it fun to mess around with.
Yeah, that becomes a completely like your own personal preference sort of thing, Because like, again, I've always been like, if I have strength, they give you like 6 or 7 attributes that you can go back and forth with. I've always been a strength, defense, and like health bar sort of guy. Like, if I can get those up, I'm good to go.
Right.
But they have like luck and.
They have runic and cooldown.
So like, they add stuff that usually you don't see, which is really cool.
Yeah, it is, and it's well done, and it's engaging enough where you want to twiddle with it and figure out what you want to do.
Yeah, because some armors you go up there and you're like, oh man, I'll be like 20 more strength and stuff like that. But that's it. You have to be good at combat. If you're not good at combat, your luck is at 0. Your cooldown's at 0. You know, like everything else sucks. Because I'm just getting to a point where I'm starting to get good at long range and short range at the same time, like being able to throw it and then axe them and throw it at somebody else.
Man,
and I'm like finally getting the hang of like all the combat like that. So everything matters. Like being able to throw it and have that runic and the frost ability that you have in the beginning of the game, like be useful is good. Like you want to have it up. So
yeah, definitely. And I will say, if you play as like a high cooldown build, you're just using your abilities like constantly. Yeah. So you'll be like swinging your axe a couple times, and then you'll be using an ability and doing something. You know what I mean? Like
how cool is when you get the Sparta meter up and you just like
rampage
on everybody.
Yeah. Well, that's nice. They brought that back in a good way because you've always had the Spartan rage thing.
Yeah.
I do like that a lot, and it's pretty cool. And that's the other thing about the side quests and actually going and exploring is like that's the only way you can get your health bar like more health or more rage. You know,
those are really cool too.
Doing those something like that.
And those puzzles remain the same, but have like little twists on them as you start going.
Yeah,
and that's usually you got to find the 3 symbols, and
I like those. Those are super cool.
They're awesome.
Sitting there, and you're like, oh, where the fuck? I always find 2 and have to search for the 3rd one.
But it's fun to search for. That's what I'm saying. Like. There really isn't anything in this game that I was like, oh, this again.
This
like,
is daunting. This is meticulous.
It's just meticulous. Yeah, there's nothing that's really meticulous. It's like enjoyable throughout because they have a good balance of puzzle and combat, and that's why I keep talking about the design. It's just like they know exactly what is fun and what's not, and I think they strike a really good balance.
I think it's just I really am enjoying it, and even combat aside, for me, we've talked about it 100 times how like it's just my favorite part about video games is like the interactions between characters and like the story building, and like I think for me at least like that's why I love it. I love the little interactions between Kratos and
and I'm only a little bit further than you, and I have to say it's like it does nothing but get
so much better.
I'm sure towards the end of the game. There's one part, without ruining it, there's like, where I wanted to go explore while I was in this place, and he's sitting there like, I want to leave. Can we leave now? And he's like, no.
Kratos said that?
No, the boy is like, can we leave? I don't want to be here anymore. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, shut up. Like, I'm trying to open this chest.
Well, my favorite.
And he literally sits there, he's like, can you stop looting so we can go? Like it's hysterical.
But that's what's so cool. I love that interaction where like what's Atreus?
Atreus.
He's like us at points where like my favorite and I was like actually like laugh out loud hysterical was there's a point where you have to like find like flowers and like his son's going out like picking flowers and then some characters just like Kratos, can you go find some flowers for me? And Kratos legit just goes. It's just like the best moment because you're just like, oh, of course, like you never met Kratos in a flower garden picking lilies or whatever.
But those are the little things that I really do. That's perfectly.
I totally forgot about that. And you're right. That
was
such a good example.
You're just that's the best.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is done really well. But that's why I'm saying like when you're talking about games with a great story. Like, I think if this game didn't have the really good feeling combat, the really well-designed world, the good side quests and everything, I don't think people would be like, this is an amazing story.
Yeah.
I think when it's made as a whole game, a whole package, that's when you say this is an amazing game. Because this doesn't have the chops of like a Night in the Woods style, like
no. Oh my!
But goodness. But what I'm trying to say is like a lot of people are saying like, wow, like I really appreciate what they did, and they do a lot of really interesting things with the story. That doesn't mean it's one of the best stories ever in games.
No,
you know what I'm saying. So for someone like you, when you're saying like the story is what's really important, I'm like I think you'll still get enjoyment out of this game. But I don't think it'll be to the same level.
No, but you're right. It's like it's a conglomerate of all the other aspects.
Yes.
But having said that, for me at least personally, for someone who has been very, very vocal about how I do not like the God of War games, here we are knowing that Kratos was a one-note character, and in many ways he is still kind of one-note, but I like seeing him trying not to be, and there's a few points where in the beginning where you said where his son's slashing at the dead troll, and he's like, no, stop that, because his son's acting like him. He doesn't want his son to be like him.
Yeah.
The scene where the stranger like sees the son's bed, and that hit a core of me. Where it's like, crap, if that was my kid or someone that I care about, and someone was threatening them,
right.
I'd get angry too.
It is good to see like his, or not just good to see, but it's involving when you see his temperament go up and down. Like his temperament when. If the kid does something and he's trying to be a father to him, but at the same time...
They set that tone very early when he's hunting, because right away you see him screw up, and he's yelling at him, and then he goes...
Right, he's
working. He says it again in like a little more calm tone, and it's like, you can see that he's trying to grow as a person.
Yeah. I love that.
Which is what you need, though, right? That's what this series needed.
Yeah.
Because this wouldn't work.
Yeah. And the mystery of this wife/mom that, like, at the same time, that Kratos is only being this way because of her.
Yeah.
And we know nothing about it.
We never see
that,
That's my one gripe. I would love it if... It's not even that we need to hear the story of her.
No,
it's
not
like,
at all.
And I'm fine with that, but I'm saying, how cool would it be? Like, this woman apparently was like an amazing woman and like
you mean to have like
really strong character. I don't
need
the flashbacks, but when you're going to talk about a really strong female character and not show it, it kind of sucks. Like, how cool would it be to actually see a really
definitely.
strong, like, good female character? I think that would be cool. But
definitely.
They're all mythology is dominated by men in general, so I don't expect anything more. But the Witch in the Woods is a good character, and you'll see more
that's obviously
her.
the Mother Nature sort of, almost literally the Mother Nature sort of character.
You'll see a lot more of her throughout the game, and she has some interesting arcs too. But it would have been nice to see the female, but I think you'll see. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but that Woman in the Woods, you'll definitely get something out of. I also, without going into detail, there is a character that ends up traveling with you for a while.
Okay.
And really, really good character. Really good, like, this character is almost like a sage that, like, knows a lot of things and can shed light about the mythology. So he's often, like, telling stories of the mythology. But they're also just like really fucking funny sometimes, and that's I don't want to keep harping on the same point, but the thing that I've critiqued games like The Last of Us in the past about is the lack of varied emotions, where it's kind of there isn't a ton of because in real life. Even if you're going through shit, it's like there's still funny things.
Right, and that's why Night of the Woods was
stupid things, and that's exactly what I'm saying. Like, this game has some of that. I mean, it doesn't take it to the next level, obviously, but it has enough of it where I appreciated it, and I was like, that's good. Yeah. And I really like when people take jabs at Kratos. It's really funny.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like this game, too, because it's very self-referential. Again, I probably said this 100 times already. But it is self-referential, because we all know who Kratos is, and now here he is trying to do something completely different.
Yeah.
And just like you said, the things with the sons being like, shut up, Dad, or like,
well,
did you have to do that?
It's cool because you're looking at the story through Kratos' eyes, who is this jerk, badass, And then you have the innocence of the kid, nice balance. You're saying there's a third character that joined you along the way, who's probably right in between, So it's good. I mean, they're doing this.
They know what they're doing.
The way they should.
We didn't even mention the graphics are just.
Yeah. So that goes without saying. The graphics and
absolutely one of the best looking games. I've seen.
I mean, this is really
and the sense of scale, man.
Yeah.
Some of these things, some of the creatures, some of the bosses, some whatever. God of War has always been good at that, but. It's really there's something about the camera angles and the way that they manipulate that for scale that's just really really cool.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I just love sometimes when in any sort of game like this where you're just like on a mountain peak and you just look up and it's just mountains and sky and things like that. Yeah. Really really good.
And I mentioned the little Metroid-ish stuff where you don't have something and you see and you're like, all right, I'll probably get something for that.
And there's some good puzzle solving things in there too.
Yeah, I'm saying but I was going to say it's rewarding. It's worth going back and checking a lot of that stuff because you'll find side quests behind it. You'll find this, that behind it. Like these doors that are locked off are meant to come back to, not just for a chest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? which is the benefit of the game, because if it was just, hey, let's go find another chest, it would get a little monotonous.
Yeah. No, it's super special. And, I don't know. I think, like, this game just kind of came at the right time. I think just sort of everything that we know about the God of War series, when did the third one come out?
11, 12?
Yeah, so, like, it's been, like, a decent amount of time, and here we are, like, a nice sort of, like, refresher into the world of Kratos, and it's just trying to go for, like, a new sort of thing.
Just because I need to look it up. I think it's 2009 or 10.
Yeah.
But it was even earlier?
Let's find out.
But I am actually really, really curious, because this is the one thought that I had, and whenever, I talk to people about this game, or we haven't talked much about this game to people.
10.
Except you guys.
2010.
But, okay, so, like I said, what makes the game even more interesting, like as a standalone game, I think it's great, but what makes it more interesting to me is the history of these games. How do you guys feel if, let's just say, the original God of War games never came out, and this was just a new game? I think that's a real testament.
Yeah. I mean, the truth of it is, it would be a good game, but it wouldn't be as good because we know this character, and
well, it's nice to see, because a lot of the mystery is we're talking about, like, now he's got this kid, you're missing 15-year gap, but we also can see that he's hiding everything from his kid, you know? So it's like, at the same time, you're like, he's got to tell him at some point, like, something's got to happen here.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a built-up suspense, which is really nice. And the fact, the whole thing that separates this from a lot of other games for me as well is that one camera angle. You're there for every point of their experience. Yeah. Whereas there's a lot of great games that have that. You can talk about Uncharted as well, or The Last of Us, where they're going through a thing, and there'll be a point where, like, they'll just skip ahead, and you'll be like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Like, you could skip ahead a day or something like that. That's totally, talk about the beginning of The Last of Us, where you skip that 20 years and you go right into it. But you're there for every single moment of this game, which is great. That's awesome. Yeah. You know, like, that adds a new aspect to gaming, in a sense.
But, like, do you think if the original God of War games weren't there, do you think we'd be talking about it this much?
That's what I said. Yeah. It would still be a good game. It wouldn't be nearly as good.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
Yeah, of course. But it would be a good game because it's just a really well-made, really good game.
No, and I totally feel that way too, and I don't want to downplay that stuff. Yeah. But I really think the reason why I'm enjoying it so much, or why at least I think it's so special, is just because of our histories with it.
Turnaround. Yeah. And the one thing I was reading, the director, when they approached about making a new God of War game, the director's like, well, I have a wife and kids now. Like, I can't make those games like we did in the past, like, and that was a big step into adding what they added to this game,
Yeah.
There was a recent, like, right before the game released, they did a video of the guy, like, reading the reviews or watching reviews and crying his eyes out, like, I don't remember what his name is, but...
You're talking about Cory Barlog?
Maybe.
The director of the game?
Yeah, like, the director of the game, he, like, watched all the reviews and stuff and, like, the videotape himself, and he was, like, ecstatic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Any closing thoughts on God of War? I think we're going to wrap this one up.
I mean, I can't wait to go home and keep playing more.
Seriously, I want to play some more of it, definitely.
Because I definitely feel what you're feeling. Like, if I didn't have to go sometimes, I'd keep playing it. And that's why I try not to play it when I get home at 11, 12 at night, because I know I won't go to bed.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I'm very excited to talk about specifics of this game, so I think at some point we're going to put up a spoiler cast with the three of us once all three of us have beaten it.
For sure.
But having beaten the game, having done most of the side stuff, done a ton of it, definitely 2 thumbs up. Highly recommended.
It lived up to the hype.
Definitely lived up to the hype, yeah. Minor gripes, like, nothing's perfect, but I think this game is absolutely up there with the best of the best of PS4. I'm not saying it's Game of the Year. I'm saying it could be. But yeah, I think with that's going to do it for us.
Yeah.
Shelby, I'm so glad we get to have you.
Yeah. Thank you all for watching.
I'm glad I got to start playing it. I just got to finish it.
Thank you, Shelby.
Me too. I got to finish it too.
Like I said, we'll check back with you guys in a couple weeks, month, whenever all three of us are done. We will sit back down. We'll do a full-on spoiler cast. Just talk about all the points that we want. Because I certainly have a shitload of things I want to talk about, but gotta wait until we've all done it.
Yeah.
But I'll get there.
All right. We'll all get there. But thank you guys for watching.
Thank you, everybody.
See you next week. Thanks.
What's
What's up, guys? It's Dan from Circle Back. I'm just here to let you know you can find everything that we do at circlebackgaming.com. If you just want the podcast, we're on iTunes. If you just want the video, we're on YouTube. So catch us either place. Thanks.